Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
Okay, there are no presentations this evening, so first is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll pass it to the city manager to discuss tomorrow night's agenda items.
All right, thank you. Good evening, and hopefully my voice will hold out through the whole meeting. I don't know what I've got, but it's not going away. Tomorrow night, we'll have a presentation by our Joliet Police Explorers in terms of a recognition for them. Mayor appointments, if any. On our council committee reports, we'll have both public service along with the ad hoc city manager search committee.
Steve, if you know, who's supposed to give that report? Myself, or is Kathy going to do it? The ad hoc city manager committee report tomorrow?
There's only one thing I have.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
We'll work it out. We'll coordinate. On the consent agenda, we'll have the minutes as always, along with position vacancies. We have 3 positions, basically, all related to retirements. License and permits, none. Public hearings, none. Ordinances, none. Under resolutions, we have Council Memo 569-19, which is a resolution that would adopt a permanent easement and a construction easement for acquiring property necessary for the widening of Hobart Road. This particular acquisition is at the northeast corner of Hollywood and Shanahan Road, and the appraised value for both easements total is $16,700. There will be additional easements that will be coming forward. This was discussed at public service tonight, and the recommendation was for approval. Any questions? Next item is Council Memo 570-19, which is a resolution approving an addendum to a IDOT intergovernmental agreement. This agreement was approved initially in 2016. It relates to intersection improvements at US Route 6 and Gauger Road. Now, neither of those roadways is city jurisdiction, but the city is looking to get some work done that is local in nature. We have some street lighting, sidewalk, emergency preemption for ambulance, police vehicles flying through intersections. So those costs would be incurred by us, but done as part of that project. This addendum would add an additional 6 years to the initial term of the agreement. 3 years, I'm sorry, thank you. The estimate at this point is about $115,000 of local cost, but that'll obviously be staged at some point or budgeted when the project is staged. Any questions on that? That was also reviewed by Public Service and recommended for approval. Next item, item 3, is Council Memo 571-19. This is a resolution declaring certain City of Joliet property as surplus. And what this surplus property is, we have about 9,700 square yards of erosion control material that isn't needed. It exceeds our storage capacity and really was the result of an inadvertent engineering design spec that isn't going to work for us. So what we're asking is to declare the material surplus, which will allow the city to sell the material via bids. And this was also discussed at public service tonight. Any questions? Bids and contracts. Our first contract item is Council Memo 573-19. And this is something that was distributed to you today in terms of the numbers. Every year we bid the vehicle fuel for the city. If you add up our gasoline and diesel total, we're talking about 550,000 gallons of fuel on an annual basis. For 2020, we did bid it. We only received one bid, but the prices were pretty good. We received bids for gasoline, $2.1277 per gallon. Grade 1 diesel, $3, 0.665 per gallon, and grade 2 diesel, which was $2.426 per gallon. This is well under our staff estimates, and the recommendation is to accept the single bid from Petroleum Traders company. This was also reviewed by Public Service tonight and recommended for approval. Any questions? Council Memo 574-19, pretty routine item, just a request to authorize an award for repair of retaining wall at Midland and Woodland. Next item, Council Memo 575-19. This is a recommendation to approve our 2019-2020 salt purchase. And the good news is that, there's going to be salt this year. Bad news is that it's at $95.71 per ton. This is up from $52 a ton last year. So a pretty significant increase. Our minimum purchase is about 15,000 tons, which would result in an expenditure of $1,435,650. One of the reasons that Public Works has determined result in this higher dollar amount, I mean, think about the state of Illinois, it's a very large bid, but because of the number of ice storms and small events that really occurred within the Midwest last year, the supplies are down. I would have, envisioned the fact that we didn't have large snowfalls, but every time you have a snow event, whether it's a couple inches or ice, it requires the same salting. So because of that supply and demand, we almost doubled in price. So what we're saving in fuel, we're going to be making up in salt expenses. Any questions?
I do have one question. I noticed that Mike Hewlett didn't sign it. Is that okay if he is blank there on the contract?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Mike Hewlett, the public assess supervisor, did not sign this. Is that okay if his signature's missing?
Yeah, I signed it. Mike and I work on this together.
Yeah. Whenever you see missing.
Well, I just wondered, because I've never seen that before.
No, what happens sometimes you have someone on vacation and we're up against an agenda deadline. That's usually what happens.
Okay.
If someone disagrees, I think I did it once. I said, I disagree, and I signed it as a concurrence, just so that it was on the record that, from a professional standpoint, and I don't even remember what it was. It was a couple years ago, I think.
Steve, is it estimated that will get us through the whole winter, or is that one?
Yeah, the contract's for 15,000 tons. Actually, we can buy as little as 12,000, we go up to 18,000 tons, and they have to honor that price. But yeah, we think that'll get us through the winter, Mayor. I think last year we were around 16,000 tons. And again, we had a lot of these small ice events, which we don't normally get, and those require excessive amounts of salt. Because usually when there's a snowstorm, on the residential streets, we'll salt the intersections. We won't salt, through the mid-block. But when you have ice, you gotta salt everywhere. Otherwise, we're asking for a lot of issues.
Right.
So that's what really hurt us, I think, last year. We used quite a bit more salt than you would anticipate. Even though we had about the average amount of snow for the winter, we had about 34 inches, which I think we averaged about 36 inches for the season. So it was close to average, but there were a lot of these little minor events. They're salt eaters, I call them.
Thank you.
Item 4, last item under award of contract, is a request for authorization to approve professional services agreement for legal representation. And this is with the firm of Ansel Glink. You recall, I had previously mentioned the fact that I was interested in bringing an outside law firm to assist in sorting out some of the ethics issues and some of the high-profile personnel-related disputes that have occurred within the last 6 to 9 months. I chatted with our city ethics officer, probably going back 2 months, as we started to just sort all of this out, and sought her input as to who would be a recommendation of a firm, and she had indicated Ansel Glink, who I was very familiar with from some other communities. So we brought Ansel Glink forward, provided them with a scope of service, which is summarized within the engagement letter. So we've put this on for a resolution to formalize the process. Even though the city manager has purchasing power up to 20,000, I thought it would be best to get this on so that the council formally creates the relationship. And not knowing exactly where the dollars will be, I figured it's probably a safe way to go with regard to future expenses on this. Any questions on that one?
I hear.
Yes.
Is there a reason we're not using our own legal staff or inspector general?
Yes.
Okay. And is my understanding that this particular law firm had some controversial issues with lawsuits with the village of Oswego a couple of years ago, several years ago.
I can't hear you, Larry, I'm sorry.
It's my understanding
Oswego?
this legal firm has some controversial issues with the village of Oswego that I think wound up in court with overcharging. Have we looked into that?
Certainly not within the last 5 or 6 years. I was village manager in Oswego for 3 years, and they were not our attorney. I don't know what's happened since then. There could have been another firm. I could tell you that the individual, Carrie Lynn Craftifer, who is the person who would be the lead, I have a lot of experience with her, and I wouldn't question anything that she would do with regard to professionalism or billing.
Well, and to be clear for anybody that's watching, because frankly, I've been out walking in the community and they're asking about this, why we're spending money when we have a staff of attorneys. So to be clear for anybody watching, are you saying that there's reasons, but there's something that would be a personnel-related issue that shouldn't be discussed publicly?
I would say it would be a sensitive issue. I wouldn't go into personnel or performance. I think it's a little more global than that. Any other questions on that one? The remainder of the agenda are amendments, change orders, payments. Each of these were reviewed tonight by Public Service and recommended for approval.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening? Seeing none, I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Hi.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried.